It's championship weekend in the NFL. We're down to the final four, but let's be honest. In Broncos country, it's really just down to the final two is all anybody around here is worried about. And Chris Harris Jr. and I will break down the AFC Championship and everything surrounding it. Football Fridays starts now. Chris, we are just 2 days away from what is going to be now a cold kickoff. They're talking about temperatures in the low 20s or even teens, not too windy, not any real moisture, precipitation, snow, anything, freezing rain, but it'll be a little cold. Nonetheless, how fired up are you that your Broncos, for the first time since you beat the Patriots, are playing these Patriots in the AFC title game on Sunday here in Denver?
Oh, it's a huge game, great opportunity. We've had a great history of pretty much dominating the Patriots in Denver. So hopefully they're able to continue on that streak, man. It's an exciting time in Mile High.
All right, so let's go back to Sunday before we look ahead. And, we've covered it. You talked about it with Ryan Harris and Shelby Harris a little earlier in the week, but obviously we have a little bit different audience. And so I'm curious, take me through the kind of roller coaster emotions for you to go from seeing the Broncos pull off the exciting overtime win over Josh Allen and the Bills on Saturday. And then I looked at it exactly 1 hour or maybe 58 minutes from when the game ended, or an hour and 2 minutes, whatever it was. It was like the game ended at 6:14 and Sean was in there at 7:16. Uh, the news was officially official that Bo Nix was done for the year just an hour after his team had the biggest win of his certainly pro career, if not of his entire life.
Yeah, I was definitely hyped, and then then seeing that on the, you kind of get that alert, on my phone, and it said Bo Nix was out, and it just completely just shocked me. He had a great season, and this is the matchup everybody's been waiting on. This is the same draft class. A lot of people put Drake Maye ahead of Bo Nix, and some people put Bo Nix ahead of him. So it was a great opportunity for them guys to do it out and see who's going to take the throne in their class. But I think he had a great second season, and they have a lot to look forward to for next year.
Yeah, and obviously Bo Nix coming back fully healthy, going to have a long, hopefully very productive career here in Denver. And you saw it's such a weird kind of timeline where everyone is reacting. And I'm going, let's go teammates and people around the league, but specifically teammates. Oh, but we've got your back to, you got to turn the page. And who knows if the 24-hour rule gets thrown out the window. I think at that point, everyone probably locks back in. I'm not saying people didn't go to dinner and enjoy the fact that they're a game away, but I'd be willing to bet there wasn't too much partying, if you will, Saturday night for the Broncos. I'm sure the staff, especially on the offensive side, jumps back in. And who knows? We should actually do some digging. Did Jarrett Stidham go to the facility Saturday night, or was he in there Sunday morning with the offensive staff? Because Sean kind of talked about that. But it's that turning the page, and so it's just weird to see everybody have Bo's back. But then now it's Stiddy time.
Yeah, and you have to give the backup some confidence, right? That belief, and when you have the defense that he has coming into this game, a team that created a lot of turnovers the past week, Benito's coming off that edge, and the secondary is making plays. You got a chance with Stidham, and Stidham's a guy that he has experience in this league. He's played good football before. Has he not, take snaps in a long time? Yeah. But, he's professional. He's something that he's working every day and preparing, and just in case Bo Nix does go down. And like I've been reading, he said nothing in his preparation has changed. He's continuing to do the same thing every week, and hopefully he just stays consistent and brings a different level to the game.
Yeah, you talk about his teammates, coaches having confidence in him. It was obviously to a man that everybody's talking about their belief in Stiddy. So I think that there's a bunch of a bunch of clips out there from everybody everyone that got a microphone put in their face, camera and a microphone put in their face, was asked about your reaction to the Bo injury, and then about Stiddy. So let's start with his head coach, who, as we would expect, I don't think they're dialing this game plan back. He's going to let Stidham go out and try to run his offense and score points because they're going to need to win this game. Here's Sean Payton.
that's his personality. Like, he's gonna rip it, you know, and that'll be our approach. I mean, hey, he's got this calm demeanor that I think suits him well. He's played in big games, college, and you know, I said this at the start of the season. I felt like our 2 was inside the best 32, and I think everyone feels that way. But that's why that sign was important. And you don't know when it's happening, you know. But I'm glad it happened. I'm glad, you know, that acquisition took place.
Stidham, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has confidence in Stidham. You know, he chose him, and he even paid him. You know, brought him back as a valuable piece to the team as being a valuable backup. And you never know when that's going to happen. When we won the Super Bowl, it happened to us, and Brock had to carry the load. So the same thing. Just this is his time, and you never know. Like you said, you never know when these accusations are going to come into play. But now it's coming to full front and center, and we're going to see what Stidham's made of. He has a great opportunity to take himself from being a backup to being in that starter quality conversation heading into next season.
Yeah, one of the things that Sean Payton told us on Monday on his conference call was that Vance Joseph will get aggravated because Stidham's running scout team and lighten up their first team defense. And then JFM kind of backed that up. And he's like, this MFer is running the other team's offense better than their quarterbacks, talking about guys like Jake Browning for sure, the Chiefs backup, Trey Lance, and I'm sure several others in between. And so here's VJ, because I asked him at the end, you know, they give you a last question. He's about to get off. And I was like, oh, wait, Sean said that Jarrett will make you mad. Here was Vance's reaction to that.
No, that's good because I mean he's a competitive dude, you know. So every practice is his time to get his reps for the week, you know. So I don't have him like just kind of just, you know, give us the ball, right? I mean, he is playing football, so his reads are free to make, you know, his checks are free to make. He can change protection, so you know he's allowed to play football, and that's important for our entire offense, you know. So it's never scripted for him, you know. So sometimes it's hard because he's making plays against us, and I get pissed about it. But it's fun to watch, you know. Obviously, you know, he's a good player, and happy for him.
And then, well, real quick, final thing, because we've got a special guest coming up. Here is Nick Bonito, kind of the same thing. I said, hey, BJ said it pisses him off. What have you seen from Stiddy in practice?
Sean said that Vance got aggravated when Stiddy's lit up the defense, made plays, and then Vance just confirmed it, said he'll get pissed sometimes. But what have you seen from Stiddy that gives you and should give Broncos confidence in what he can do?
Yeah, I mean, like, we see all the time in practice on the scout team when we got to go against him, just the confidence in his throws that he makes and just the swagger that he walks around with. I know there's not anybody more prepared for him for this game. I know he's been waiting on this opportunity, so it's not going to be surprising at all to see how he plays on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, they see it in practice every week as him being a scout team quarterback. And he's been going against those guys and getting that practice, getting those reps against that fast defense. And he should be prepared after seeing those guys every week. You know, the Patriots got a solid defense, but it's not the Broncos. I don't believe it's at the Broncos level. So he's been able to get those great reps all season to stay in tune. And, you know, hopefully it comes to life this weekend.
You know, Chris, sometimes things work out where somebody who's prominently associated with the team that you're playing, whether it's a former player, somebody who covers them, is available to be able to talk to us. And then it also helps that this next guy we're bringing on is going to be on the Super Bowl coverage, where you and I would love to see him. A little sad that his Patriots aren't there. But also, we talk about Stiddy in practice. He was there from day one when the Patriots drafted Jarrett Stidham in the 4th round back in 2019 to potentially become the Tom Brady heir apparent. Devin McCourty, nice enough to join us here. We're about to go behind enemy lines. D-Mac.
Yo, what's
What's up, my
happening?
man?
What's
So you
up,
got Jarrett
Chris?
Stidham, former teammate, Chris Harris, 2016 Pro Bowl teammates there together. And,
Yes, sir.
and D-Mac goes straight from winning a bunch of Super Bowls right on to the Sunday Night Football set, more or less. But here, can we hit that rewind button first? You were there when Stiddy got there. Obviously, Tom Brady's not losing his job to a Jarrett Stidham, but they thought enough to bring him in 2019. And so you were around him for his whole time there in New England before Josh traded for him in Vegas. So what do you think about Jarrett Stidham getting this nod? We can get your Bo Nix thoughts too, but just about Stiddy getting this start in such a huge spot.
Yeah, I think the first thing is it's not going to be too much for him. Like when he got there as a rookie, he would come out there, obviously running the scout team. He'd be talking trash. He would throw at guys, whether it was Gilmore or something, and talk trash about it. Like he loved to compete, always had a smile. It was, to me, it was something that stuck out. Like sometimes rookie quarterbacks come in there, they're trying to be perfect. They're trying to do exactly what's on the card. Like even if he threw an interception in practice, he would come to us and be like, hey, I threw that interception on purpose. They told me to give you guys some confidence going into a big week. He just always had that aura about him. So I think that's why we hear guys talking about him the way that they are, because his energy, his attitude. I think defensive guys are sitting there saying, hey, we know if we play to our capability and we can go out there and dominate, they believe that Stidham can go win them the game on the offensive side. So I get why they have confidence in him, because I saw that when he was a rookie.
Right. And now, man, the Patriots being able to turn it around, right? Denver too, also, 10-year drought before getting back to this point. How did the Patriots, change the atmosphere in that building? Losing Gerard Merrill, he's a true Patriot, right? How did they make a fast change? Was it Josh McDaniels coming in with the offense? Was it just Vrabel implementing his defense? How did we get such a fast change?
Yeah, I think they did what a lot of teams struggle to do. They hit in free agency. Obviously, when you're bad, they won 4 games, each season the last 2 years. So you got top picks. So you draft Drake Maye, you draft Will Campbell, and you're drafting in the top of each round. And they drafted some good players this year. Craig Woodson plays a lot for them. But you go out there and you sign Milton Williams to a big contract, he pays off. You sign Carlton Davis to a big contract, he pays off. Chason, Harold Landry, like all of these different guys. Morgan Moses has been the right tackle all year. It's hard for teams to go in free agency, Stephon Diggs, and say, these are our guys, and for them all to work out and play a big part in your season. That rarely ever happens. So I think you take that along with Vrabel coming in, and I know it's been a big thing about should you hire brand new head coaches or should you go back and get a guy who's been fired? I think we saw with Mike Vrabel going in there, he knew exactly what he wanted to do as a head coach. He knew what it looked like when he was in Tennessee, the things he liked, the things he didn't like. I think when he came to New England, I think he was very straightforward. For me to sign here as a head coach, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And I think we saw the Patriots commit a lot of money to free agents, commit money to building a new facility. They're all in. And I think the players feel that, and they truly believe in Mike Vrabel.
And we know, though, I realize we started by talking about Stiddy, but we saw what drafting Bo Nix and what Sean Payton was able to get out of him changed the trajectory of the Broncos franchise, I think, more quickly than it had been over this last decade. Like Chris mentioned, Drake Maye going as high as he did, you saw some people when he's coming out in the draft, Devin, say that he's going to get a GM fired. Well, clearly that's not the case. Although I guess in some ways he kind of got a head coach fired, but I think there were extenuating circumstances. But did you see Drake Maye going from talent, but not sure exactly what he'll be right off the bat? They only won 4 games. He showed flashes to perhaps in a couple weeks at NFL Honors, the NFL MVP, or certainly Offensive Player of the Year, perhaps, and definitely, a guy that's had as good a second year as anyone we've seen.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody says they projected that, that's probably because they're a family member. But I think everybody in New England felt it when he got in there last year that they had a guy that could be the guy and could be special. And, Chris knows just like I know, when you have a quarterback on the other side, your whole team, the defense, everyone around you on offense, they compete at a different level because there's a real belief that we can go win the Super Bowl. And I think Drake Maye has done that. And you have to mention it. Like Josh McDaniels being there, being a part of his second year, I think spoke volumes. I did their preseason games this season, and in the preseason, Drake Maye talked about Josh McDaniels being in his ear. He said he's never really had an offensive coordinator that kept wanting to talk all the way until the speaker went off and your helmet at 15 seconds left on the play clock. Said he had to get used to it. And he said Josh told him, I'll never tell you something unless I know it's 100% true. And he was like, damn, but is it? And he said they had to build that trust. And he said he knows when Josh gives him a little tidbit out there, he knows that's exactly what's going to happen. Hey, the nickel's blitzing. I now know that nickel's blitzing because Josh doesn't tell him wrong information. So I think they've developed a special relationship that's allowed Drake to play to his potential and play so well this year.
Experience of being able to win. So, Josh McDaniels is the perfect person to trust. But let's get to the corners, man. I got to ask you something on the DBs, man. This game highlighting, a Pat Surtain, in which I can't even find a comparison to the guy, really, 6'2", 6'3" corner, can play man, play all over the field. But Gonzalez, he's a guy that's jumping out the screen every week. And I'm trying to find a comparison, man. Who would you compare him to be like? What guy in our era would you kind of say a Gonzalez is?
He actually reminds me a little bit of your guy that I play with too. He's just not as loud, but he reminds me a little bit of Talib. He's a guy that can go out there, can go and play a ton of man-to-man coverage, has no problem saying, put me on the best guy. But, that's not all he has to do. He can go out there and play zone. I think Talib probably had a little bit better ball skills, and you know what he did when he got interceptions. He scored touchdowns. But he just has that size. I think the thing that it was so interesting with Gonzalez is when he came out, everybody was like, he's a bigger corner, but is he going to tackle? And since he's been on the Patriots, he's done a heck of a job of that, showing up, tackling, and being a playmaker for this defense. So I think his ability to go out there and take guys away and play at that level he's played at has allowed them to be more free in the secondary. And then it helps, too, when having a guy like Carlton Davis opposite, who's a really good player and showed up and had 2 interceptions last week. So both these secondaries are strong. And, both of us as former DBs, it's fun to watch a game where everybody's talking about, man, the winner might be who plays better defense.
Yeah, and Devin, we always know that rush and coverage work together. And so the Broncos DBs, it helps to be really good, but it also helps to have an elite pass rush. The Patriots have certainly gotten home in their first 2 games, but I think there's some extenuating circumstances because the Chargers are without their tackle, so that's going to be an easier path to a QB. And it's hard to say what Houston's doing. Their best lineman plays for the Commanders and Laramie Tunsil, and that obviously that plus CJ Stroud, I don't know, it's chicken and an egg thing. This is going to be a different test for the Patriots pass rushers. And then on the other side, the Broncos hit the quarterback as much as anybody. It's not Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. It's everybody here. And so what do you think ends up tipping the scales? Because Drake has shown a propensity to put the ball on the ground. We don't know what we're going to see from Stidham other than anyone takes more sacks than Bo Nix just about. But how do you see both the fronts succeeding or struggling?
Yeah, I think the key for the Patriots they're different than Denver. Denver has guys that if they put 5 guys down or they blitz a linebacker and you got to block them one-on-one, it's damn near impossible. They just have too many good pass rushers up there. And I think New England doesn't really have that. I think Milton Williams and Christian Barmore and in the inside part are tough guys. I think you'll struggle to block them one-on-one. The other guys, I think they're good players, but they're not a Benito, a Cooper. I think that's different. So I think when you watch New England, it's all about disguise. It's about showing one way, dropping a guy off the edge, blitzing a linebacker. They've done a good job of putting pressure on offensive lines to communicate and know exactly who's picking up who and how you're doing it. But if you slip up anything in between there, Barmore and Milton Williams have taken advantage of that in the middle of the pocket. I think for New England on offense, the key is going to be the run game. Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, I think they're going to be what they lean on the most. When you watch the Buffalo Bills game, you walk away and you say, man, Josh Allen missed a few throws down the field, but all of that started with their ability to run the ball. And I think New England's going to come in and say, hey, these guys want to rush the passer. We got to make them take on double teams most of the game. We got to make them deal with that. And then that hopefully sets up some throws down the field. But if you come out and you think you're going to drop back pass against Denver all game, you're going to have a long one.
Well, before we let you go, bro, man, I think I know who you got, right? But, man, let's give us a score prediction. Give us what you think is going to happen in the game, man.
I think the game ends up in like the mid-20s. I would say 24-21. I'm going New England, and I got to admit, it's been a fun week. I was on with TJ Ward yesterday. Now I'm on with Chris. I'm with all the great DBs that took Super Bowl 50 away from us in New England. So good times, man. But I think the Patriots come out victorious.
Yeah, and Devin, the last time the Super Bowl was played in San Francisco, it obviously went well for Chris. We'll see if it's your Patriots or his Broncos, regardless of whether the Patriots are there or not. And that does make your week busier. NBC has the game this year, and it coincides with the Olympics. I guess as we let you run, just how excited are you to be a part of the Super Bowl coverage this time around, and especially because the Patriots could be there?
Yeah, man, it's really cool. I think being there, I got to play in 5 of them as a player, and then seeing this side of it, and they were like, "Yeah, man, it's a 6-hour pregame." I was like, "Damn, we on TV for 6 hours?" So just being there, being a part of it, seeing the players, talking about that journey, talking about being there in that game, I think it's a unique perspective. So I'm definitely looking forward to even the future stories of sitting down with some guys and talking about what playing in a Super Bowl means to them. It should be a lot of fun.
Well, this was a lot of fun. It's always fun when I see you. Chris, sometimes you're going to have to go with me and D-Mac and his brother Jason to a Ja Rule concert because we got some hookups on Ja Rule. All right, Dev, we'll see you out in the Bay Area. Appreciate the time.
Good to see you guys, man.
Yes, sir.
There you go. The Ja Rule thing's kind of an inside joke going back to when I met he and his brother at the draft. They were like still players in Chicago, but some friends connected us. And then we were out and Ja Rule hit the stage and we're like, what the hell's going on? It was a good time. So whenever any Ja Rule news hits, we text each other. But understandably, Devin's gonna pick the Patriots. I want to get back to a couple more Broncos things though. Before we get into the film room here in a second, because let's let people get to know Stiddy a little bit. Stiddy is a self-proclaimed vibes guy. So this was Wednesday on the podium because now Stiddy is the guy, at the helm. And here was my question to him.
You're a self-proclaimed vibes guy. So in this role, can you influence the vibes more, or does someone else have to help pick you up there?
No, I feel like I'm still a vibe guy. I think somebody was just in. I think it was Palmer over here. He's looking down at his phone, but he was asking me what my turtle box was, and it's Mr. Turtle. So I like to keep the vibes high in the locker room, and hopefully bring that to the huddle on Sunday. But yeah, I mean we're playing in the AFC Championship. We're one of the last 4 teams playing. Like, what's not fun about this? So we're gonna go out there and give it the best we got, and hopefully come out victorious.
I think he's confident, and guys, they have confidence in him, and that's the first thing you want to see. You don't want to see a guy that doesn't feel like the moment's too big for him, and that he's confident that he can go get the job done and really play well. So if I'm him, I'm looking at it. Hey, this is the biggest game of my life. I got an opportunity to really set my family up for forever. And I'll possibly go win me a quarterback job next year. So if I'm him, you got to take this game very, very serious.
Yeah, well, and I think he is because he has a chance if he plays well this week, and if they win 10-9 and he has 3 interceptions, but they win, he's not getting traded. But if he has a big game and helps them win, even if they were to maybe struggle in the Super Bowl, but it makes it interesting. And if he plays well, they win. He leads them to a Super Bowl, plays well, win or lose. There's teams out there, whether they're drafting a quarterback or not, that still are like, oh, we can get this guy now. He's in year 7. Clearly, all he needs is just more of a chance. I think that no one's ever – I saw where Tyler Columbus tweeted, no one's ever had a quicker path to $50 or $60 million 2-game run-up, because that's what he'll get as a new kind of that Baker Mayfield prove-it deal that he got in Tampa. And, I got one more thing on Stiddy before we move on. I know you're a Lakers guy, and I know Kobe's your guy more than LeBron, but you're wearing LeBron's jacket right now. Did you see this this week? Because this is all the rage here in Broncos country. Everyone has changed their profile pic to Stiddy as LeBron.
That's what we need, though, man. This is Jordan right here, I believe, though.
I know. I'm kidding.
Not
I didn't think you were wearing a LeBron jacket. You're the Devin Hester jacket.
But hey, I like it, man. Hey, keep that little mug shot up there, whatever. And hopefully he just plays out with that swag. We need to see him, be decisive with the football. The Mike Vrabel's team have historically played man-to-man coverage, so he's gonna have a lot of opportunities to make some throws.
And then Stiddy was actually asked about this, and here was his reaction.
So I'm actually not on social media at the moment, but I have had multiple people send me the LeBron meme with the headphones and the sunglasses. So I guess that's pretty funny. But it's great. I mean, Broncos country, in my opinion, arguably the best fan base in sports. So, really excited to get out there in front of them. And, it's been a long time since this game's been played here. So I know they'll be rocking on Sunday.
He's already smart, man, not being on social media. So he did one thing right, but if you play quarterback, I wouldn't have social media. Like the things that CJ Stroud does, and those are kind of things Peyton did after he retired. He did commercials and things like that, but
Wait,
you weren't going to see him on no podcast or anything like that.
No. I mean, Peyton got on Instagram like 2 years ago. What's funny about Bo Nix is he never posted anything on Twitter. He obviously had a message on Instagram, but Bo barely does anything there. If you want to keep an eye on what's going on in Bo's life, you follow his wife, because his wife, Izzy, gives you a little glimpse. Oh, they're on vacation in Mexico with the other quarterbacks and Mike McGlinchey. Oh, they're in New York for Zach Wilson's wedding. They're in Vail, and she seems to kind of do a good job of recapping. It's like, hey, we're in Vail right now. Oh, Vail was awesome. So if you saw him, great. And that's kind of, it's almost like he has a social media manager without it. And I think Stiddy's wife, Kennedy, is kind of the same way on Instagram. And you see pictures of their kids. What's funny was somebody was like, oh, Stiddy's not going to be getting a lot of sleep. And I posted, I was like, he has 4 kids under 3, including a baby. I don't think he is getting a lot of sleep anyway.
Nope.
Here, let's hear from Courtland Sutton, though, because I thought his perspective, and you have to appreciate this as a former teammate, Devin McCourty just told us he played in 5 Super Bowls. You were a part of 2 Super Bowl teams. We know your injury kept you off the field. It's not easy to get to. The fact that Tom Brady played in 10 is insane. And you can speak to that. But here's Courtland Sutton on the precipice.
Yeah, shoes, man. Excited. Coach reminded us of we're one of 4 teams that are still practicing right now. Everybody else is at home, enjoying their off season. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's such a blessing to be one of 4. It's something that this team has earned, and I don't think that anybody takes it for granted at all. I think everyone is embracing the moment, embracing this opportunity, and we have a locker room that's full of guys that are ready to take advantage of what's in front of us. We have a huge opportunity ahead of us. A lot of guys either haven't really been in the playoffs. We got a few guys from other teams that have experienced, conference championships and experienced playing the Super Bowls. But this bunch that we have in this locker room, man, the brotherhood that we have in this locker room, I think that we all want to be able to continue to keep experiencing these M&Ms, as Coach Vitt would say, making these memories. And this is one of those memories that we get a chance to go out there and make. But, it all starts with the preparation this week. And I think that, like I said, we're off to a good start based on how we went out in practice today.
Yeah, and Courtland, he's a guy that's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. So he knows how big it is and how he needs to take advantage of the moment. And he has to have a better game than what he played last week, right? Every game is bigger, and you got to play better. So to keep that momentum rolling, it's going to start with him, because definitely the Patriots are a good run-stopping team. So the ball is going to have to be in the air.
Well, and let me ask you about guys like Courtland Sutton, and really to a man. We asked Alex Singleton about some of this yesterday, but the idea that you have to pick everybody up because you don't have Bo Nix, that doesn't necessarily have to be said, but Court had a couple of maybe uncharacteristic drops or catchable balls. So how do you make sure as a vet or just even as a young player, but that you're doing everything you can and that you're locked in because Stidham isn't Bo? Doesn't mean Stidham won't have success, but you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, just making sure everything your route running is precise. You're getting your hands ready. Maybe you might have to do extra jugs this week. Maybe you might need to spend more time with Stidham in the red zone or going through your third down packages, finding different ways to steal some extra time with your quarterback. And that's what you got to do around this time. There's nothing else that matters except the game, and you got to kind of have tunnel vision.
As we head into the film room, right before that, I want to thank our friends at Furniture Row. You can see the nice chair here. You watch any of our other shows that have more hosts, you will see the awesome new set decor that we got courtesy of our friends at Furniture Row. You know, they got a bunch of locations up and down the Front Range. You know, to furniturerow.com and of course, our friends at Denver Mattress as well. All right, as we do every week, let's head into the Chris Harris Jr. film room. All right, there were a lot of great plays to look at, but we're just going to focus on a couple. This is great only because of what wasn't called.
Yeah, I think because it was not catchable.
Yeah.
But at this time, this is late in the game. Right there, you want your corners to start to try to look and find the ball. But, Moss, he's still kind of grabbing and being handsy with them. But that's where we need Moss to be ready this week because they are going to try to take him up top with Booty.
Yeah. Is Booty playing well enough where Pat should travel with him?
I would say no, not at this point because mainly he's been more of a vertical threat. But to be able to stop Diggs, Diggs has been completing on the third downs and scoring touchdowns. So I would think Diggs would be more of a factor.
All right, and then a couple more things for you here in the film room. We're going to jump all the way to what turns out to be, in some people's estimation, the biggest play of the game.
Oh, yeah, interception coming down with the ball. Looks like VJ called a zero coverage, all-out blitz, 3rd and 10, and, that's pretty ballsy to do. And Bills picked it up pretty good, right? They blocked everybody. But he was able to come down with the play. You see, he has his hand inside of there to be able to take the ball and main control, getting it up. That's an interception.
It's funny the controversy on this because you can see from the time that Cooks hauls it in, J-Mac's hand is also there.
Yeah.
And now Cooks is a little banged up after this. I think he hurts his arm, and that's part of the reason he didn't get up demanding it being a catch. But he knew he didn't have the ball, and I don't think he ever thought it was a catch.
If they both came down with it and they were both grabbing at the same time, it would have went to the offense.
Yeah, they're laying there on the ground and both have their hands on it, but they didn't. And for J-Mac, not only the biggest play of his career, and he's had a couple big interceptions, a pick six against the Chargers a few weeks ago. But what can you tell young DBs about just the technique here and how he played the ball?
I mean, just fighting all the way down to the ground, fighting for the ball, trying to get it out or trying to intercept it. And it's all about effort. He's in zero coverage right there, going against one of the fastest, used to be one of the fastest guys in the league, and was able to still cover him. So that's extremely challenging to do, to be able to cover a guy in a slot all over the field. And, his effort is why he made that play. Having great effort and being able to finish the play, to the whistle. Yeah,
I was standing right there when that happened and couldn't believe it. It was pretty amazing, but I was on that side, on the Bill sideline. It happened, 10, 15 yards in front of me. It's pretty wild. And for him to pop out with the ball and then how quickly they were able to look at it and then keep it moving. And then do we have one more thing in the film room just because we're talking PI? The last throw of Bo Nix's season.
Yeah, that was PI. He was there, but he got there just a tad bit too early, right? And they're in zero coverage also. You see him grab him right there. He grabs him right there. That right there is too early. So he just didn't time it the right way. He probably thought that, right when he jumped in the air, the ball would be coming in his hands. It usually does happen like that. But, Mims kind of mistimed it himself.
Yeah.
And it kind of forced that PI. So him getting there early before Mims even touches the ball makes that a PI. I don't know why T.Y. was so mad. He can go back and watch it a million times. You definitely got there early.
That's a pretty ridiculous throw when you think about. Obviously, if both Bo and Josh lead their guys there, it might have been 6. But at that point, Bo has hurt his ankle and is still able to at least drop back on the hurt ankle. And I understand he doesn't necessarily plant and drive the ball. He obviously put lots of air under it, but to still make a throw that's pretty much on the money, 45 yards downfield or whatever it is. And they talk about receivers with late hands. Those were early hands from Marvin Mims, which worked out to his advantage. I guess late hands, maybe he ends up just catching it, but early hands gets him the PI. All right, it was a short trip to the film room because we had already seen the Bo injuries all week, or the video of Bo getting hurt, and we got to get our picks and look at the injury report here real quick. So next week, hopefully, we're talking about some great plays to help the Broncos win, but that was Chris Harris Jr. film room. And then, as we do always before we get to predictions, because I think this is something that hopefully will have Broncos fans smiling, as we haven't gotten the final injury report. But let's do the injury report real quick, David, before we look at the matchup numbers, because the Bell and Pollock injury report, couple positive things here, and I'll let you react to each of them. But Pat Bryant, and I was there on the sideline as he went to the blue tent. We've seen guys get concussions. You were on the field with Wes Welker. You've seen him get concussions. Pat Bryant last time. Those are concerning. Pat Bryant walked to the blue tent like, I cannot believe I have to do this. And then they sit him down after 3 catches. And I think it's because December 21st was the first one, and then January 17th, so less than a month. But he was back at practice, and he was a full go yesterday on Thursday. What do you think about getting Pat Bryant back?
I mean, he started out hot, being able to see his route running. He knows how to create separation. It was good to see him and Bo. They were starting to, continue on with that chemistry that they've had throughout the season. So he's big. You definitely need him. How did Dobbins look? What's the report on Dobbins?
Look, I talked to some people close to the situation, and Dobbins was under the impression he could have played last week. They're being cautious with them. I think had they have won and Bo stayed healthy, maybe they let Dobbins sit essentially 3 more weeks. But it feels like they're going to need him. He's looked good the little bit that we've seen. We haven't seen much because you know how it goes with that early viewing period, especially Sean Payton in the playoffs. But I think he's going to be ready to roll, even if he gives you 15 snaps, not 15 touches, 15 snaps, some pass pro, some play action, some decoy stuff. What will it be for a shot in the arm if Dobbins can go?
Oh, that'll be huge, especially to a run game that definitely needs them. Going against this Patriots team, their strength is their run defense. So being able to create creases and relieve pressure off of Stidham will be huge. So any running backs, any guy that we can get to tote the ball, it will be much needed in this game.
Yeah, and, for as much as it'll help to have Pat Bryant ready to go, Troy Franklin with the hamstring was limited the last couple of days. We know that those can be tricky, and if he can't go, you almost want to err on the side of caution, and you dress Elijah Moore or Michael Bandy probably, and L.J. Humphrey's a bigger part of your game plan. The final player that we'll talk about, other than knowing Lucas Kroll and Drew Sanders are close and could be activated, especially for special teams depth, is Luke Wattenberg. When he went to IR, Sean Payton said, it's not a 4-week injury. We needed the spot, and we trust Forsythe. If Wattenberg, who you just gave $48 million, if he's ready to roll, you kind of have to slide him back in there because you're not rotating centers the way you rotated guards to get Ben Powers ready, right?
You got to put him back in. You can see that the run game has definitely suffered without him being in there. So definitely, if he's ready to roll and he can play, you got to you got to trust the guy's professionalism and allow him to go out there and play.
We'll see how it all shakes out when we get this final injury report. And some of these are going to be true game time decisions. I think that they'll activate Dobbins and Wattenberg, and we'll find that out later today or tomorrow. And then they'll decide on Sunday before that 1:00 kick. That does it, though, for our trip. A look at the injury report. Thanks to our friends at Bell and Pollock. Call them today, 303-795-5900 or championsofthepeople.com. Well, Chris, before we pick the Broncos game and look at the numbers, the NFC game that comes after the AFC game, Seattle 2.5-point favorites. Rams beat them 19-17 in December, or rather in November, and then you jump ahead to December week, what was that, 16, week 16. It took overtime, but and LA had them dominated for 7 quarters. Seahawks figured it out late and in overtime. They picked off Sam Darnold 7 times. I'm leaning Rams, but that Seahawks D has been something else.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Seattle's defense. Their defense is just too stout, and Matthew Stafford hadn't played like an MVP the first couple games in the playoffs. So I'm gonna go with Seattle winning this game.
Yeah. All right. I'll go Rams. And one of us will be right. One of us will be wrong. I also like the Broncos matchup, I think, against the Rams better in the Super Bowl if the Broncos could get there, because you can put Pat on Puka and then take your chances with the rest of them. Although we'll see a Cooper Kupp revenge game coming in. David, I didn't know if we wanted to look at the numbers, but the Broncos at last check still 5.5-point favorites, or rather underdogs. Patriots 5.5-point favorites. We know Bo Nix is a big reason there. Time possession, even. Patriots aren't great turnover wise. They're obviously better than the Broncos. Not necessarily been great in the playoffs, but they were better than the Texans. Look at that Patriots offense, though. The Josh McDaniels offense, they're dialed in. And they've got Stevenson going now with the Rook and Henderson and Drake Maye, like we said, an MVP candidate. And how about third down? That could be, I think, one when you talk about their third down against the Broncos third down, that could be pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are pretty stout, pretty consistent team from offense and defensively. So you're looking at a complete team. The numbers are struggling on the Broncos offense just because they've been up and down all season. Haven't been, consistent all year. But when I look at the Patriots, they have the weakest schedule in the league. They didn't play a lot of the top talent around the league, even though you got to play whoever they choose. But the results in their win-loss ratio of their opponents is pretty bad. So I'm not very confident in these guys. I think the Broncos are able. They come out and play stout defense, run the ball better, Stidham, air these guys out. I think they got a great chance to win.
All right, give me a score prediction.
I got to go with 33-27. 33-27.
Broncos win by 6.
Yep.
All right. I like where your head's at. I think I'm going the same pick I gave last week, except I had the margin right. Just I was 10 points shy on both sides. I'm going to go 23-20 again. Broncos win this game 23-20. I think Sean's going to stay a little more committed to the run, but I think Stiddy's going to impress some folks, and I think he may have a chance to not only help the Broncos get to the Super Bowl, but help himself maybe make some money via a trade in a new situation. We'll be able to break it all down. You'll break it down with the Harrises this week, and we'll, of course, on post game live with Chad Brown and Kristen Brown. I'll join them from the field. But Chris, a lot of fun. Glad we got to talk to Devin McCourty. Thanks to him. Thanks to David. Thanks to our friends at Denver Mattress and Furniture Row. And hopefully we're talking about our Super Bowl plans here next week when we talk. Thanks, Chris. Enjoy the games.